All right, guys, how we doing tonight? Kenny B here with another quick episode of Cities and Suburbs. Just wanted to check in with you tonight and bring you some live local kind of items that I've been tracking in the news, and I'm sure you guys have been too, particularly pertaining to Worcester. Some disappointment there, but anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge today is the 27th, January 27th, 2021. Welcome aboard. Also, National Holocaust Day. We remember, obviously, 76 years ago, Auschwitz was liberated, if you will. I don't know if it was a liberation, but was discovered by the Russian army. They call them the Red Army. We'll call them the Soviet Army, the Russian Army. 76 years ago. And then we have the Armenian Holocaust, and all this arguing back and forth of what happened. Did it happen? I'm just going to honor the day and say I think it did. I know it did. But anybody lost to, any citizen lost to the hands of its government or another government is, inexcusable. And that's why I think we live in the best country on the planet, even though we have our problems right now. We're dealing with COVID. Worcester, Massachusetts, 75% of the public safety personnel received their first shot. Public safety personnel, fire, police, anybody in that direct response, position. So that's your Corona local. I tried today to look on the city's website to see how we're doing in cases. Charlie Baker last night gave the state of the state. He's getting a lot of unfavorable reviews on talk radio. I just have to say, I don't listen to that one way or another. I believe that Charlie Baker, and I said this months ago, I wouldn't want to trade places with the lieutenant governor. I have a tough enough job as it is, and you don't think you get paid enough to do it. But then I'm sure he has the same kind of thought, oh my God, what's going on here? What do people want? And, it's the big thing in Massachusetts is the restaurant industry right now. It's the restaurant industry is hurting. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in a leadership position. Whether you're dealing with a war, a pandemic, which is a war, you're just damned if you do and damned if you don't, and then you come down to the character of the individual. And I will not paint Charlie Baker as a flawed character kind of gentleman. I think he's doing the best thing he can. I think he's a family man. He's a Republican. He's a rhino. He's a Democrat. He's going to get defeated by the first progressive Democrat that comes into office, challenges him this year. Or actually, I'm not keeping up with the elections, but the next gubernatorial run. And okay, he may get defeated, but show me someone that can actually, all they're going to do is try to put holes, economic holes, in his record. And but let's just think about the lives that our state elected officials. They are elected officials. So it's at least stand by them and help them. Can't criticize them on every step of the way. Now, that being said, I don't want to contradict myself because a lot of local press over the last week, Worcester Airport, as of 1/26, city manager Ed Augustus says that we may not see commercial flights out of Worcester until 2022. You know, okay, so there's private flights in and out of Worcester. The car rental thing is still going on up there. That's great, but the car rental thing was for the people that were getting off of planes. So we'll see how that's doing, because, you know, 1,000 feet below, there's plenty of places to rent cars from. Just being said. So the whole global airline industry has lost more than $118 billion in 2020. It's projected to lose $38.7 billion. And this is you and me taking the plane. And what's happening is actually cargo flights. Companies are hauling that stuff by freight. Truckers rule the road. That's how you get your stuff. We talked about that. Rail is still alive, and freight is still alive. So basically, we're dead at Worcester Airport. All right. There were pictures on of the airport, beautiful airport, dead airport. So that's just another. And I'm bringing this up because I just kind of want to expose a little bit of where we're going here with Worcester. And I was 75-25 optimistic of Worcester, for Worcester and its future. Pre-COVID, I'm maybe 65-35 now. But you know what happened this year. So let's look at the retail. Worcester was once a place where people used to go and shop. Downtown Main Street was it, man. Yeah, I mean, and we were never able to keep that tradition up. And now we're known as No Mall Worcester, the Greendale Mall, which the mall sucked anyway. Again, I said it. 3 years after it was. 3 years after it was opened, it was dumb. I'm obviously go back and listen to a lot of my casts. I think malls are stupid anyway. I'm more of a, store to store. You call me old fashioned, if you will, but that old fashionedness. If you go to a town like Waltham, you'll see a Main Street. Anyway, no malls, Worcester. We're dead with that. And now we have Polar Park coming in, and I get nervous about Polar Park because it kind of reminds me of the Worcester Center Galleria, which was a failed mall. Opened in 1971. You had the Auburn Mall open, all these malls opening. They either work or they don't. Auburn Mall's dying right now. But right now, Polar Park, we're redeveloping an area where 35% of the surrounding area lives below the poverty threshold. And let me just say that a poverty threshold is basically what you need to make to live in that area. Essentially, if you can't afford to live there, then like me, I maybe could afford a house, but I'm not going there because I can't definitely afford a house. See, so. So basically in 2021, the poverty guidelines are in effect. All right, so persons in a household. So if you're, for families, households with more than 8 persons, wow, add $4,540 for each additional person. I hope people aren't living, like that. Unless you have a big old farmhouse, and this doesn't really matter. So if you're one person and you're making less than $12,880, one person, that's the poverty guideline. Okay, so if you're making that or less, so if you think about Polar Park and that whole area, the whole Worcester market, the 35% of the population can't even afford to shop at the Worcester market. And so what happens is that where does the money come from to sustain retail? So we keep saying, let's build retail in Worcester. Let's build retail in Worcester. Well, Worcester has a 21% poverty rate. It's about the 5th highest in the state. Right now, it has a 5.6 unemployment rate, maybe a little better. It's considered the eighth poorest city in Massachusetts. Now, I've seen statistics on this and various websites, by the way, the poorest cities of Massachusetts. But right now, population is about 185,195. Not up much over the year. Poverty rate, 21.1%. Median household income, 46,407. We have, let's see, what is the poverty rate? We've gotten that. I'd put it between the 5th and 8th poorest city. Poorest places means the poverty level, the median household income, which we just said, in that area, what's the income for that area, and what is the unemployment rate. So it's the poorest number of people living below a federally established level of income for a household of a certain size, one person's two certain. So that's how they arrive at the quality of a city, 20% poverty rate, 6% unemployment rate. It's a poor city, meaning, people are just living there, And one of the articles that I was reading that was really called Downtown Worcester. Downtown Worcester, with all the development going on, is one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. The neighborhood around it, around Polar Park, 35% of its residents living below the poverty line. And so it just now, what we're looking at is that how can Worcester really reinvent itself? Is it a ballpark? What if you had taken all that money and invested it into the neighborhoods? Again, I drive through the neighborhoods. We have older 3-deckers. They're not going to last forever. I said this a couple of days ago. The Reinvestment Act in Worcester, we look for a lot of federal money, work opportunity zones and opportunity this, and where the city could be pretty much spending a lot more money in its neighborhoods, its older communities. We have irresponsible landlords. And again, the gentrification. And so the only way, let's bring retail back downtown. Well, the only way you're going to do that is if you increase the density of people living downtown or in our neighborhoods with disposable income. That's when the retail will come in. But right now, there's still empty storefronts. And again, this was even pre-COVID. How are cities like Worcester, Southbridge, Brockton, Fall River? Worcester's not special, We have a lot of great history in a lot of our great American cities. But maybe, too, Springfield, it tops #1 poorest city in the state to live in. Let's put a casino downtown, I think, we look at what our natural origins of each one of our communities are and start from there. But I get nervous with Polar Park because it does kind of have a theme of the Galleria. But I hope I'm wrong. And for all of you guys crapping and moaning about the Greendale Mall being converted into, jobs? You know, which we need desperately, and that's what Worcester needs desperately. Good jobs, right? For good pay, and let's go from there, folks. Hey, Kenny B here from Cities and Suburbs. I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy. Stay safe out there.